David Duke, top of the arc. Here's Pip, guarded by Gillespie. Steps back, spins, fires! Woo! Pip Gates!
They get another crack. They'll go to their senior. And he lays it in. Two big buckets by Alpha Diallo.
He crushed it. It's a grand slam.
Down by 3. 5 seconds. Reeves for the tie. He got it.
Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Dish Sports. I'm Ben Bellotti. I'm here with my co-hosts Robbie Cannon and Matt Marasco, and today we are joined with a special guest, Austin Upshaw, a former minor league player drafted in the 13th round from the Chicago Cubs in 2017. He's now over with Kennesaw State and trying to become more of a college coach and get more into the coaching atmosphere. So, Austin, how are you, man? Thanks so much for doing this.
Man, I'm good. Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
I think, we're all in the same boat here with this quarantine thing. Not really much going on. Listen to a lot of baseball videos, watching reruns of baseball games and any sports that even come on TV. So I think we're all kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, so, I mean, obviously we did some research on you for, preparing for this interview and everything. I noticed that you played over at Kennesaw State for a couple of years and had some pretty great seasons with them. But before that, I noticed you actually went to a school, Georgia
Perimeter College. Yeah.
Georgia Perimeter, yeah.
Junior college. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just going to jump right into it and ask with something related to that. How did you always want to go to Kennesaw State, or is it just going to go, I'm going to go to a junior college and see wherever it takes me from there?
No, so it was one of those things. Everybody's kind of got the dream. Hey, I'm going to go Division I, because that's the highest level of competition. I want to go to a Georgia. I want to go to a Georgia Tech, Tennessee, one of those SEC, ACC schools, of course, that everybody wants to go to. But recruitment kind of was a little slow for me. I think the first time I truly got recruited was my junior fall, which is, that's also typical for some guys. It's not a big deal, but it felt late for me. I went to 2 camps. I went to a Kennesaw State camp and a Young Harris College, which is a smaller Division II in Georgia. So I went to those 2 camps and ended up getting recruited out of both of them. Young Harris ended up offering like 2 weeks later, and then Kennesaw was kind of, we were talking or whatnot. And long story short, I ended up committing to Young Harris, that small Division II, because I felt like they gave me a really good offer, and Kennesaw never really pulled the trigger. So I was fairly happy with my decision there. And then senior year came around, and I had a really good fall with my travel team and kind of showcased myself well, and ultimately felt like I was good enough to go Division I, and I felt like Division I was going to be, the best way for me to end up in minor league baseball and hopefully to the big leagues. So I ended up decommitting from that Division II and opening my recruitment back up. Therefore, being it so late in the game, my senior year, trying to get recruited, there wasn't a lot of money or many opportunities for a senior from a Division I that I might wanted to go to. So I ended up going to junior college, Georgia Perimeter. I felt like I could use that as a stepping stone, and also, junior college. Some of the schools that you go to and play, I mean, it's pretty legit. They can hang with some Division I's. So I felt like it wasn't necessarily a pride thing. Like it wasn't going to hurt me to go to junior college. I wasn't like, nah, I'm too good for that. No, it was. I understood what it was. It was going to be some good baseball. I could spend a year or two there and then maybe transition to a Division I like I'd always hoped. So I ended up doing that. I ended up going to Georgia Perimeter, having a really good year, and Kennesaw State kind of picked back up the recruitment of me. And obviously, as you said, that's where I ended up after a year.
That's awesome. It's so cool to hear like the different paths that everybody takes to get into baseball. And you mentioned using it as a stepping stone from Georgia Perimeter into a Division I, into Kennesaw. Can you describe that transition going from JUCO ball into Kennesaw State in Division I?
Yeah, so, I mean, like I said, junior college, there are some schools that are really good. They can compete with Division I. But also there are some schools that are pretty bad, and it's kind of a lower level of baseball. So I would say from a baseball perspective, that transition from junior college to Division I, you would look up and down the lineup and be like, okay, yeah, like the 8-hole is still a dude who can put the ball in the ballpark and do some damage, rather than, at a junior college, you get to 6, 7, 8, 9. It's kind of like, depending on the team, obviously.
Gotcha.
And of course the arms were a lot better as well. Facing, at Kennesaw State, we faced in-state rivals, Georgia Tech, Mercer University, Georgia Southerns, and those are really good schools. So, even when we weren't playing like a weekend series in our conference, we were playing a weekday, we'd run into a good arm out of Georgia or Georgia Tech, and obviously facing some good bats. Like, it was the transition from junior college to Division I baseball. That was kind of the difference right there. Was on any given day, you're going to be facing a good arm. You're going to be facing a good team. And obviously it's tougher to perform at a Division I, potentially facing those kind of guys rather than a junior college. So I would say the level of competition. And then from school, from a school's perspective, my junior college was fairly small. It was like, I think there were like 5,000 students or something like that. So transitioning to Kennesaw, where there was like 30,000 students, like that was kind of, that was kind of different for me. A lot bigger classes, walking around the campus and whatnot. Academics was a little tougher, I would say, but not too bad. There were some classes and some semesters in junior college that was actually harder than some of the classes at Kennesaw, but typically the academics were a little better, so that gave me a little bit of a trouble here and there. But I would say that's kind of the biggest thing from junior college to Division I baseball or Kennesaw State, academically and athletically.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah. So then, after Kennesaw State, or after your first year at Kennesaw State, notice you go on to play with the Ocean State Waves in the NACDL, which actually, I don't know how long it started, but they seem to always have guys from Kennesaw, like year in and year out, which is awesome. They're great players. They had a couple guys last year. They just absolutely mashed, great players. So you performed really well in the NACBL with the Waves. How much do you think playing in, the NACBL atmosphere, being one of the more competitive summer ball leagues, played into, one, your success your second year at Kennesaw, and two, with your draft stock?
Yeah, so I would say, when people think of the NECBL, it's one of the top 3 leagues in the nation. So automatically, if you were to have success there, it draws some attention. It's like, oh, you hit pretty well in the NECBL. Okay. You know what I'm saying? It's automatic respect because of the prestige of the league. But for me, doing well and having a good season at Ocean State, I think, like you said in the question, it transferred me the next year at Kennesaw, and obviously in my draft stock as well. Because from a Kennesaw State perspective, when I got back to Kennesaw, having a good year there, my first year at Kennesaw, and then going and have a good year, that kind of translated and helped me feel more confident. I found myself as a hitter a little more over the summer as well, and then obviously it translated to the spring, kind of continuing my role. But from a draft stock, I think, when scouts saw, okay, he had a good year at Kennesaw, then he had a good year in the NECBL with Wood. And, that's one of the things I forgot to mention is, you definitely get respect when you hit well with Wood. So the scouts are kind of looking at that repetitive success throughout the year. And, I think that helped increase my draft stock. And then obviously I came out and performed that spring my junior year, which helped. But I would say Ocean State, that summer season really did help in the long term, whether it's draft stock or how I performed at Kennesaw that next year.
Yeah, and I got to ask, we're New England guys, Matt and I are Rhode Island guys. What was what was your favorite part, maybe your favorite off-day activity when you were with the Waves?
Favorite off-day activity? I'll give you a little story, and I have to preface it by saying I had a great host family and I had a great experience. And my host family had kayaks, So I like to kayak a little bit. I like to go out on a pond or a lake or something like that. So me and my host parent, the dad,
Mhm.
we went out and kind of went out on a lake, maybe a little pond, and kayaked a little bit. So I'd kind of taken an interest in it. And at the end of the year, I came up with the idea, because I had been kayaking pretty much all summer, a few times. I was like, hey, hit up some of the guys. Why don't we kayak somewhere? Is there like a river or something that we can all go to? And we ended up going to the Narrow River. I don't know if.
All right. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we ended up. It was like 5 of us. We ended up going to the Narrow River. A-Spot was actually with us, the GM that they're now for the state. And we're just going up the river, having a good old time. And I didn't realize it, but the Narrow River actually leads to the ocean.
Yeah.
So we're just going. All of a sudden, boom, we're out in the ocean, and we're like, it's a river, cool. Like, yeah, there's probably some tiger sharks or whatever, but no big deal. And then all of a sudden you see the ocean, it's like, ooh, kind of in that big hot area in the summer. We had just seen a week before, great whites, heads up there, great whites out there, blah, blah, blah. And, of course, 5 college dudes, oh, let's go. So we kind of paddle our way out from the river into the ocean, and we're like, oh yeah, this is fun, and we keep going, and finally got to a point where it's like, all right, we had spent like 20 minutes out there. It's all right, let's head back. So we're sitting there like, let's catch a wave in. So I caught a wave, another dude's catching a wave. Well, the last guy trying to catch a wave in doesn't hit it right, doesn't angle his kayak well enough, and he flips. And obviously we had been talking about sharks the whole time that we were out there in the ocean. We're like, oh, sharks, blah, blah, blah. And he flips, and as soon as he touched the water, it's like he never touched the water. He got the kayak flipped, and he hopped back up on his kayak. He was so scared. He was not moving, and he was freaking out. And it took him like 5 minutes for the water to kind of drift him in back to the river, but like he did not move. He was so scared, and we were just dying laughing the whole time. It ended up being a great trip, well worth it. And of course that was kind of extra little laugh for us. It was a great time. I had a great time all summer in Rhode Island. So that was my favorite. That was my favorite off day adventure.
Awesome.
Oh, that's a great story. I love that. Yeah, I mean, there's not many better, in my opinion, summer ball places to play. When like New England, you go up to, you see, I mean, Martha's Vineyard now just got added to the NACDL, but I mean, like even going down to Vermont, I mean, it's beautiful up there. Almost every park you play at. I mean, Mystic's not so great, but I mean, it's great places to play, great atmosphere, just a ton of stuff to do. So yeah, NACDL is great.
Yeah, it's a great league, man, and obviously the weather's super nice in the summer. For me being a kind of a southern dude, getting to be able to come up to the Northeast, for something other than like going to New York City, like getting to experience the whole Northeast, that was really cool. It was a lot greener than I thought it would be. From a southern perspective, when you think of the Northeast, it's like all them Yankees, you know what I'm saying? No, like the city. No, it wasn't like that at all. Like it was super chill. I remember being afraid that there wasn't going to be country music at Ocean State. They weren't going to play country music, but once I got up there, like every other radio station's country. I'm like,
oh yeah,
man,
cat country,
like,
baby.
What was I scared of? You know what I'm saying? It was a great experience up in the Northeast, and obviously Rhode Island. That's kind of a premier spot to play college summer ball. It was great.
So I'm glad you mentioned country music, because I noticed on your Instagram that you posted a picture from a John Party concert.
John, yes.
Yeah. I'm a big country guy. I know Benny's a big country guy.
We're all big country guys. So you got lucky. You got lucky with that one.
So I gotta ask, what's the best country concert you've been to?
I'm not really a concert person, but my girlfriend actually got me tickets to go see John Party, which is the picture you saw. And that's like, I've only been to like 2 concerts ever, and that was my second one. My first one was actually a free concert by Big and Rich, which was actually super cool. But that John Party concert was legit. Like, it was so cool. We were very close, and he just pretty much got out his guitar and just played for an hour straight, the whole time, playing my favorite songs. My favorite song by him is Dirt on My Boots.
Yep.
So I have to include a story because we were talking about Ocean State and my season and whatnot, playing up in the Northeast. So when I got up to Rhode Island, we kind of had to pick walk-up songs, and I was like, it really doesn't matter, somebody pick one for me. And it was Boys from the Boom, Here Comes the Boom, Ready or Not, Here Comes the Boys from the South. And long story short, like the first month I was not hitting well, and HBOD, actually the GM now of the Waves, was like, why don't you switch up walk-up songs. He had actually introduced me to John Party, and he introduced me to Dirt on My Boots. And I'm like, dude, I love this song. Like, let's do it. Change my walk-up song. That day, my average soared. Literally, the rest of the summer, I raved. And it was incredible. Just by changing my walk-up song to John Party. So that's kind of a testament to my love for country music, and also I kind of intertwined it with, Ocean State and NACDL. So
for sure. That's awesome.
It's funny you say that, actually, because my job over with the Waves last summer was being the sound guy. So I did all the ballpark sounds, the walk-up songs, and everything. And there would literally be times I'm sitting in the booth. Let's say like this guy Casey Dana, absolutely raked, great hitter. Then one game he goes for like 0 for 3 or something. I get a text from HBOD. He's like, dude, change up his song. We got to get him a good mojo. And he just kept that song the rest of the year. So it's funny you say that, because HBOD was always big music guy. I always make sure I had what he wanted on or what the guys wanted on.
For sure.
He makes it a big.
No, I don't want to. No, go ahead. I don't want to claim that, you know what I'm saying? But I might have started that thing where, hey, if he's not hit well, let's change the walk-up. for HBOD at least. I know that's very popular amongst the baseball community. But for HBOD.
Yeah, that's funny.
So you mentioned changing up your song kind of turned your season around. Do you have any other superstitions? You're a big superstitious guy, or not really?
With certain things, being a baseball player, you kind of have to be,
Yeah.
You don't step on the line. You stick with the same routine. I would say there isn't like really any one thing that I do that's superstitious, but it's more like I'm a very routine-based individual. I don't necessarily like change. You know what I'm saying? I like to have this plan. Hey, this is where we're gonna eat tomorrow night. You know what I'm saying? Because it's Wednesday. One of that kind of deals.
For sure.
Just sticking to a routine. That's kind of what I like to do. So that's sort of my superstition, but sort of not.
Yeah. No, I got you. For sure. That makes a lot of sense. Same thing. Every time you step in the box, same thing. You know what I mean? And just going through that routine, and it's a mind right for whatever's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I was the same way when I played in high school, big routine guy and all that. So I completely understand that. Switching gears up a little bit, so obviously you got drafted in the 13th round. What was that experience like? What was that day that I know we've talked to a couple other guys, and both of them actually didn't get a phone call or anything. So what was your experience like? Did you receive a phone call, or did you find out through Twitter, the draft tracker, whatever? What was that experience like?
Yeah, so I was pretty confident that I was going to get drafted. Where, I wasn't really sure. I actually had an agent, and he was like, he kind of gave me a ballpark, like, hey, it could be either from round 7 to round 17, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of in general. So, with the draft being 3 days, I watched the first day because it's not very long and it's kind of entertaining. But that second day was kind of when I really got my hopes up, and I was at my house, I had my family around, and I'm just kind of sitting there waiting for a call. And if you've ever listened, live streamed a draft, like the MLB draft, that's not televised, and it's kind of over a radio type thing or a channel, it's kind of slow. And one pick after another, and just slow. So I'm just sitting there waiting by my phone, waiting for my agent or somebody to call me, waiting to get picked. And just my nerves were like all the way up, super nervous, super like, come on, very anxious about it. And well, didn't end up getting picked that second day. So I was super bummed because I felt like I just kind of been waiting there. I wasted my day. Like I was dressed up nice. My family was all around just waiting, and I felt bad. So the next day I was like, you know what? This isn't how it's going to be. It's going to be super chill today. Like I went out and swam like that morning, and then went and got a haircut. Just super relaxed. And I was like, you know what? Like there's no pressure here. I want to enjoy this. I want to enjoy this day. I'm not going to like hound myself over when I'm going to get a call. But obviously I'm going to keep my phone by me just in case. So 13th round comes along. My phone rings. Agent calls. I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm going to get something. Here we go. Pick up the phone. Hey, Kevin, what's up? It was real quick with his answer. It was like he was kind of in a hurry. He's like, Austin, Coach, I want to pick you in the 13th round, this pick, whatever, for $75,000. So are you cool with that? And I'm like, oh. And I was kind of slow. I didn't realize that, I probably needed to hurry up. But I was like, do you think I could get this? What are your thoughts? He's like, I don't think you're going to do any better. He just said it like that. I said, all right, okay. All right, let's do it. Ended up hanging up the phone, and I'm like telling my family what my agent just said, and we were listening to the draft, and I was telling them, and all of a sudden I hear Austin Upshaw, and I go, like, Austin Upshaw, 13th round, whatever pick, Chicago Cubs, infielder from Kennesaw State. Literally, as soon as I hung up, they had drafted me. So I'm like, I think even if I said no, that they were going to draft me. You know what I'm saying? Because I hung up the phone, and I'm telling my family, and then I hear my name over. Like, wow. But that it was an incredible moment. My family was super stoked. I was super stoked. Just excited, one, that I had gotten drafted and I would, be able to live out my dream to play for professional baseball, but also two, that the draft process was over, because it, especially that second day, it was super stressful. But I wouldn't take anything back, like talking to my agent about stuff like, hey, where we're going to go. I wouldn't take any of that stuff back, like negotiating. It was a great experience overall, especially hindsight, and, not being in the situation now and thinking about how stressful it was. Great experience. I think it was, decent draft story. But obviously I was super excited to get picked and just ready to move on to the next thing, which was playing professional baseball.
So Austin, you said that you were with your family when you found out. Who was the first call that you made aside from your family, a coach or anybody like that after you got drafted?
I text my best friend. His name's Chris Hawkins. He wasn't able to make it because he was at work. Obviously, he wanted to be there so bad, but he couldn't take off. He was the first person I text because he was a guy who had really helped me through the draft process, and obviously helped me with my swing too. He's a former pro guy. He coached me at Georgia Perimeter actually as a student assistant, and then kind of followed me along to Kennesaw State as a student. And he was basically my hitting coach. And so he was my hitting coach and my best friend. So, hated that he couldn't be there, but he was the first person I texted, like, hey, dude, I just got picked. And he was super excited. Like, it was a great moment, especially after work when he came and got there. We got to celebrate. So he was my first call.
Awesome.
That's awesome. So you mentioned that he was one of your best friends and hitting coach all at the same time. And it seems like, you developed a really good relationship with Kennesaw State and the coaching staff there. How would you do you think that relationship kind of played into you going back to Kennesaw State afterwards? And, kind of how did that process work?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think it helps. Spending 2 years there, I wasn't really a guy that got in trouble. I was all about baseball. I was a good dude. I feel that I did things the right way. So I think, the coaches enjoyed me. So, once I left, obviously went to the pro ball, stayed in touch, whatnot. There was a good relationship between us there, the head coach and the, recruiting coordinator. Everybody, we were on good terms. And, when I came back, when I ended up getting released and I came back and was kind of hoping to get into college coaching, I was like, hey, do you mind if I hop along the staff as a student assistant coach? And they were like, absolutely, man. Now, I think they would have done it whether I got drafted or not, because I think that's the kind of person that, the head coach was and, the staff was. But definitely building a relationship there and being on good terms with those guys, I think that really helped in their decision. I think it was one of those things where they welcomed me with open arms rather than like, yeah, we'll let them come on. So
For sure. So let's talk about your experience in pro ball, because that's so cool that you played professional baseball. You got paid to play the game you love. So what was so you get drafted, and then what's kind of the next step after that? Moving forward, you get the phone call, you hear your name, and it's kind of like, now what? Because now you have to move so many different moving pieces. What happened?
So it was about 2 weeks until I got my actual contract that I needed to sign. But once I signed that, they flew me out to Arizona. I moved into the hotel, did physical stuff, make sure that everything was good there. And then, once that process ended, it was time to play baseball. So like I said, they sent me out of Arizona. That's the Arizona League. It's kind of a league right below rookie ball. And for the first 3 days, we were just practicing. We weren't allowed to play. But then after that, those 3 days, kind of getting acclimated to everything, they started to let us play. And that's kind of when my professional career began.
That's awesome.
So, I know we just said it before, how important, your relationship with Kennesaw State was. And then obviously you can say that with any sport, how important a coach-player relationship is. So going into the minor leagues, going into pro ball, you have a whole bunch of resources, a whole bunch of coaches, probably more, I'm assuming more than you had at any other level played at before. So who was a coach or a teammate or just anyone that was teaching you something that gave you the most either surprising or most helpful piece of advice, or change something about either your style of play or just how you're going about things? Who was that person for you, and what was it that they did?
It was actually it was two people. It was in low A. So I went to the rookie ball, or not rookie ball, I'm sorry, Arizona League, hopped up to low A. The next year I ended in high A. Ended up going back to low A, and the hitting staff there is really who I want to commend here. Ricardo Medina and Paul McNulty. So those were two guys that, obviously I had just gotten sent down. Wasn't playing very well in high A, and they were kind of given the assignment of, hey, let's get this guy right. And they were two guys that really worked super hard with me, early work, afterwards looking up video, trying to help me so hard. And they put so much time and effort into me. And that was something that I truly appreciated. And, I keep in contact with them to this day because of that. They impacted me so much just by them caring about me and caring about, my development. So I want to kind of commend them and shout them out. They were my guys in minor league baseball, and they had a lot of insightful information about hitting, life, all that kind of stuff. For instance, I said I still keep up with them, to this day. I got Paul McNulty, Mac, I call him. He'll just call me out of the blue and be like, "Hey, what's up, man? I just lit up my grill." So kind of those personal relationships with the coaching staff, those kind of go on for years to come. And it's not just we were a player-coach relationship. It wasn't like that. It was more than that. It became a friendship. So I would say, like I said before, those two guys probably the most impactful coaches or people in the minor leagues for me. There are a lot of things that they taught me. I can't just really give you one, but I kind of wanted to highlight how they addressed me and how they like cared about me like that. So those two guys right there.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
Is that something that you try to take to your role as a coach now, kind of trying to develop that relationship on and off the field with your guys? And, you know, do you still reach out to those guys, Mac and Ricardo, about, you know, any questions you have coaching? Like, does their coaching style kind of influence how you approach it now?
Absolutely. I mean, that's something that I've taken with me, like, to the extreme. That's what I want to be like. And, you know, they kind of showed me the way with how they approached me and how they handled everything with me. And, like, I just sat back there and, yeah, okay. And I'm just putting it in the back of my head, you know, because I know that one day I'm going to be doing the same thing. And obviously today's that day, right? So I brought it to Kennesaw, just kind of taking their style of coaching and implementing it into mine, and, you know, making relationships and building relationships, I should say, and on and off the field, where I care about them as a player, but, you know, I also care about, you know, how they play and, you know, hitting, whatever. So I would say their coaching style really influenced mine to this day.
Gotcha. That's very cool. Kind of that whole passing of the torch, you know, taking it back now and giving it back to players. Would you describe your coaching style as kind of more loose, kind of free-flowing, very fun, or are you more kind of, you know, regimented, you know, discipline-oriented, or somewhere in between?
Somewhere in between, 100%. I feel like that's kind of what you have to be. You can be this, or you can be the right answer probably lies somewhere in the middle. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the way I approach it. But like I said before, I'm a very, you know, routine-oriented person. I'm very organized. If it isn't organized for me, then I kind of like not very happy about it. You know what I'm saying? But then again, you know, playing professional baseball and having those relationships with those coaches where, you know, you don't even call them coach this, you call them, hey, Mac, you know what I'm saying, like a nickname. I feel like bringing that to the college game where we can be really loose, we can have a loose conversation about anything. That's really beneficial to those guys, and they really reciprocate well with that. But then again, you can't go in and be all lax and, hey, what's up, dude? And then all of a sudden they run over you. So somewhere in the middle.
Gotcha.
You know, I gotta set my boundaries. Hey, we can't cross this line. You know what I'm saying? We can be cool, but we can't cross this line. That's my coaching style. That's how I feel. It's
Very
just
cool.
the best way to go about it right now, at least.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure too is, you know, as you continue on coaching and, you know, moving into different positions and stuff, that's going to have to change a little bit here and there. But I mean, that's awesome. It sounds like you have it pretty well figured out right now, and it sounds like you struck a balance, the perfect balance.
Sure. And it's one of those things that's, you know, my first year in college baseball, I actually, you were talking about some of the guys who played in Ocean State last year, like Garrett Hodges.
Yeah, Haji.
He's still there, yeah. And I played with him. So there were 3 guys who I actually played with at Kennesaw that I ended up coaching. Mm-hmm. So it's tough as a young guy who had just gotten out of pro ball, who had really just been at Kennesaw years before. It's tough to get that respect from him as a coach. So that's something that I really had to try hard to do by, you know, obviously I wanted to be myself. I wanted to have that lax relationship and, you know, on and off the field with them and be like super cool and relate to them, all that kind of stuff. But then again, like I said, I had to set some boundaries to where, hey, you know, I am your coach. I do need your respect. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, being a young coach just out of pro ball and having some guys that you actually played with, that was a tough transition from a coaching perspective because, you know, like I said, you had to earn that respect as a coach because I'd already had it as a person, but you had to earn it as a coach. So.
Gotcha.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure a part of having that relationship with guys like Haji and all the other Kennesaw State guys you play with, I'm sure that also made it slightly, easier to be like that guy for them too, already knowing them, knowing how they go about your business, knowing how about you go about yours. So I'm sure in some cases it made it a whole lot easier too, right?
Definitely. And it was one of those things too where, I come back and they're kind of like spreading the word like, hey, Upshaw's coming back. He's going to be our hitting coach. I'm super excited about it. One of those things. So they kind of helped me gain the respect of those other guys. And also, if I said something, typically they'd listen. So that those leaders, those seniors kind of listen to me, all of a sudden that trickles down. Right. So that helped me out a ton. I will say that. And it was a sense of comfortability where I already know some of the guys.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I know Matt and I can kind of relate, obviously not at the same scale, but we went to the same high school. And I mean, our coach, he was always a coach that had the older seniors that he really, liked and knew the game and everything. He would always have them come back for, when they're done with their college season or just college in general, just come back and help out the other guys. And I think baseball is really a game where like you always look up to the older guys, no matter who's better. They're older. You always respect them, and even you might be more talented, but they have been around the game longer and they know things that you don't and stuff like that. And just I think it's a game where you look up to people and have mentors a lot, no matter skill level at all. So I think that attests to why the transition can be at times so like easy from player to coach and coaching guys,
Right. Now I will say, once you're there for about 3 months, that kind of wears off. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, whenever I was at Kennesaw my junior year, we actually had a student assistant coach who was a first rounder like 7 years back, and oh my God, this guy's coaching us. That's freaking awesome. Let's go. Then once you get, a few months in, it's like it becomes normal. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way it came for me. And that's when I really had to keep pounding away, trying to be a great coach, trying to still earn their respect, because I knew that initial respect, that initial, oh, this guy who played with the Cubs is coaching us, that was going to dwindle. So once that dwindles, you really have to show them that you're knowledgeable about different things and just earn their respect in different ways.
Right. Gotcha. And then playing with, the Cubs or not just, in anyone's case, it can be just playing with any pro ball, but in your case, the Cubs, you're playing with a lot of, elite talent and everything. And now I've noticed looking at your Twitter page, and I know we talked about it a little before we started, you're starting to interview either guys you played against, played with teammates, and get their insights on the game. So one, how did you start that? And is there anyone that you just, wanted to, like, who was the guy your first guy that was like, oh, I could do this with him and he'd be really great?
Yeah. So for me, just the purpose behind it was I wanted to give college and high school guys insight about what a professional hitter does, what a successful professional hitter does. And obviously, like I said, that respect kind of dwindles when you're at Kennesaw State and 3 months in, like, oh, it's not the draft guy anymore. It's Upshaw. You know what I'm saying? So getting that other perspective from another pro guy where it's like, ooh, that's exciting. That's another pro guy. Like, I want to hear what he has to say instead of it coming from me. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I was able to, hit up my buddy. He was my best friend in the Cubs organization. His name was Kayaking Mitchell. We had played years, lived there for 2 years together. And I said, you know what, Kayaking, I want you to be my first one, because I think you'd be really cool about it. And I'm super comfortable with you. This is going to be like my first ever interview where I'm interviewing somebody and posting the content. So I was kind of nervous about it, but I knew that Kayaking would be super cool about it and he would be super insightful. And I was just excited for the project. I'm not really able to give those guys the content that, my knowledge, because I'm not around them as much because, we're in quarantine. But to be able to find a way to give those guys more knowledge and a different perspective from another successful pro ball hitter, I felt that was going to be, super valuable. So I said, Cavante, hey man, do you think this is dumb? And he's like, nah, man, I think that's super cool. And he supported me about it. And I was like, all right, then let's do it. And obviously did that. And like I said, just kind of bringing it full circle. The whole thing I wanted to do there was just create content that I could put online or on Twitter, on social media for, a college hitter or a high school hitter. I just wanted to be able to reach them and continue coaching because I'm not able to do that right now. And that's kind of my passion. So I wanted to be able to provide content.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
great. It's definitely a great idea you came up with an ad. I mean, I'm not even playing anymore. I mean, I'm at least not yet. I'm done after high school pretty much, and I'm still out there, looking at videos of pro guys talking about hitting or catching or anything. So I completely understand why you would come up with that idea and why it is such a great idea. And then moving on a little bit, I noticed that your second guy was Brandon Marsh, who is one of the top guys in the Angels system. How did you played with Brandon, or do you just know him from around, or how did that relationship come about?
Yeah, so we actually played together in high school. He was my teammate. He was 2 years younger than me, and obviously we're in the same school system, so we knew each other and we knew of each other. And my senior year and his sophomore year, he actually got called up at the end of the year to varsity to finish the year with us, and we kind of built a relationship there. And then I went to Georgia Perimeter, Kennesaw, and kind of keeping up with him because you keep up with your he's going off. All of a sudden he commits to Kennesaw State. I'm at Kennesaw State. No way, that's awesome. So we kind of had that conversation and that relationship to where it's not like we were best of friends, but we still kept up with each other and wish each other the best. So I was super excited that he was going to come to Kennesaw. Ultimately he ended up getting drafted, but we maintained that relationship throughout the years, especially when I entered into pro ball. I was like, dude, what's up? Like we're in the spring training. I'm like, dude, we're about to play each other. What field are you on? Oh, I'm on this field. Me too, let's go. So we play each other. We hit some in the off season, kind of hang out a little bit. So we had built that relationship in high school and kind of maintained it going through. And it was kind of cool, our paths crossing again in pro ball. There's a picture on my Instagram of me and him after a game where we actually played each other. And it's just super cool to see, two guys from the same high school crossing paths like that again. So that's kind of my relationship with Marsh, as I'll call him.
That's awesome. Relationships and things are really a huge part of baseball, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, but just in general, either playing with or against, who's one guy playing in pro ball that you're going to tell eventually in the future, you're going to tell your kids, hey, I either played with or played against this guy?
I've kind of got three right now. You know what I'm saying? Because I get asked that question sometimes. You played pro, who did you come across? You know what I'm saying? I came across a ton of good dudes. Obviously, super talented guys who I either played with or played against. But the three that I'll continually go to is my one and only spring training big league game. Walker Buehler struck me out. So that's one of my claims to fame, right? Walker Buehler struck me out, and this was before he was on the scene.
Right.
Literally that next season, he just he's a starter with the Dodgers and just going off. Wow, that guy struck me out. Number two, Jason Hayward. I actually played with him for 3 games in a rehab stint of his, and it was actually my transition from Arizona League to low A. My first game, I'm on a flight, and I'm excited because I got to call up, blah blah blah, and my mom texted me in between my layover. They had posted the lineup. Jason Hayward's hitting second. I'm hitting fifth. I'm like, what? I'm playing with Jason Hayward? Crazy. And Jason Hayward was from is from Georgia. So
yeah,
that's actually that was super cool for me because I saw his opening day where he hit a 3-run jack and obviously followed his Braves career. And he was one of my favorite players growing up. And then my mom sends me a text like, if you're playing with him, that's awesome. And then number 3, Nico Horner. I actually played with him, Cubs shortstop, behind Javi, or however you want to say it. I actually played with him in low A my last year for a few games, and we became kind of cool until he just smoked up the system. He was flying, man. There was no doubt that he was going to reach the bigs. It was only a matter of months. You know what I'm saying? He just flew up that system. So, Bueller, Jason Hayward, Nico Horner, three guys that I played with or against, that I'll always tell people.
That's awesome.
Great answers for sure.
So usually kind of towards the end of these, we like to wrap them up with just kind of some fun questions. So I'm just going to hit you with some questions and see where we go from there. Sound good?
All right.
Sweet. So I don't know if you've seen we talked a little bit about music already, and I noticed you have a keyboard in the background. So do you play?
It's actually funny. So my girlfriend bought a keyboard during this quarantine because she just wanted it. It was something where, she was bored. She wanted something different. And I'm not extremely musically talented, but I've kind of, like, growing up, I sang chorus or, didn't really play an instrument, but, played the drums a little bit. Just, I had a sense of rhythm. So I've always loved music, not necessarily playing, but, I just love music. So me and her have I Googled easiest songs to play on the piano. And one of the songs that came up was All of Me by Legend. What's his name?
Yeah.
John Legend.
John Legend.
John Legend, yes. Yeah. And so we've kind of been trying to play that a little bit. I've got like the first few parts of it down, and then it kind of gets a little tough, and I'm kind of in a sticky situation with that, trying to move past that little chorus. It's kind of crazy, but I'm not going to say I play. I just kind of play for fun.
Gotcha. So staying on the music theme, have you seen the I don't know how this started, but it's the picture of Bill Clinton with the 4 records that people have been posting on Instagram? What would be your 4 records that you would have in that picture?
I'm not really good with like albums and that kind of stuff. Does that mean songs?
What's up?
Or does that mean like songs or albums? I've seen it. I just really haven't paid much attention to it.
Either top 4 songs or top 4 albums, either one.
Okay. I'll go top 4 songs.
All right.
Third on My Boots.
Yep.
John Party, of course. Favorite song. Killing me. Jason Aldean. Any one of Jason Aldean's songs. I would say Just Getting Started.
Love that song.
Good one.
Okay. Nickelback, If Everyone Cared. Kind of throwing it back there. I know everybody hates on Nickelback. And then 4th one, Stacy's Mom.
Yep.
Thousands of Wayne.
Classic.
Stacy's Mom.
Classic.
There you go. That was by far my favorite walk-up song that I ever had.
Gotcha. That's a good one for sure.
Austin, so what's the funniest minor league promotion that you've seen or at one of your games?
It has kind of been a while, but I think some of my favorite, I guess you could say, one was kind of funny. They're both kind of funny. Harry Potter night. We had these super cool like the Gryffindor little get-ups, you know what I'm saying? The little robes that the Gryffindors wear. We actually had a jersey kind of built to fit that. And, every half inning they would play some trivia, or, everybody, all the workers were dressed up as Harry Potter figures. That was super cool. I'm a big fan of Harry Potter, so I loved that too. And then the other one was, we had a Mr. Rogers theme night.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of odd. It was, and again, we had one of these like funky jerseys. It was like a little bow tie and like it was super different. And again with the Harry Potter, they played trivia or whatnot, and just super. The whole game was very Mr. Rogers themed. So the Mr. Rogers was probably more funny just because nobody really Mr. Rogers, you know what I'm saying? Nobody connects that to baseball or like a theme night, but Harry Potter was the coolest.
All right. And my last question. We've had you for almost an hour, so I'll let Matt and Ben ask one more after, and then we'll wrap it up. What's your favorite city that you've played in?
Favorite city? You're gonna ask me to choose that? Wow.
Yeah. Have you been to Nashville?
Yes, I've been to Nashville. Played. That was when I was at Kennesaw State. We played Lipscomb. That was pretty cool. My favorite city. I'm gonna say Arizona. Even though it wasn't like a league technically. It was the Arizona League, but there's a bunch of teams, right? But I always look so forward to going out to spring training in Arizona. I don't know why. I just love Arizona. It's super cool. Super cool. Somewhere I never thought I'd go. Arizona.
Awesome.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, Matt, I don't know if you got any more rapid fire.
I had one more rapid fire kind of. Off day. Are you going golf or are you going fishing?
Golf.
Okay.
Golf.
Okay. Nice.
I love to play golf. I love anything that requires competition.
Okay.
Like whoever I go with, it doesn't matter. Like I'm playing to beat them. It's one of those things that I've always been competitive. I'll compete with you and racquetball or ping pong, anything. I do not like to lose. So anything that involves competition, I'm all about. So, I'll go play golf. I've been playing golf a lot here lately. I'll go play golf with, my dad or my girlfriend. And, there isn't much like talking. It's more like, oh yeah, that was a good shot. Yeah, I should have hit my 7. You know what I'm saying? I'm very focused. I'm very, very competitive. I want to, I'm there to play golf. I'm not there to talk. So I know that.
Yeah, I know exactly what
for some people it's reversed, but I love the golf.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you know what your handicap is right now?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I usually sit around upper 80s. I'm still making my way down. But I'm not really familiar with the handicap. Like I said, I'm very competitive. Like, if we go, I'm gonna hit from the furthest back, like the gold tees. And I'm not the best golfer, but like I want the best that the course has to offer. Like I'll never cheat. I'll always keep it straight because I want to know. I want to play it fair, and I want to get everything that the course has got. So
for sure, that's awesome. And hey, sitting in the 80s is not bad at all. Like I'll take that any day.
Well, now that I don't have anything else to do, I'm like, come on, that's terrible. Let's go. Come on. So I got to go back and trying to work my way down.
There you go.
All right. We'll wrap up with this one last question for you. I know, obviously, you're over at Kennesaw coaching right now, one of the assistant coaches over there. I know we talked about before. You're hopefully, we're praying that NACDL keeps on going. You're going to go over to Martha's Vineyard and be one of the coaches over there. So what's your like end goal for coaching? Where do you want to be in a couple of years coaching?
Ideally, I'd like to be at I used to say I want to be at a ACC, SEC, one of those top schools as the hitting coach, which it would be great. Like I would love to do that. But ultimately, as I'm kind of thinking about it, I would like to be somewhere that I can stay for a while. You know what I'm saying? That's a good fit for me. Mm-hmm. There's talent there. I just kind of fit in and somewhere I can stay for a while, somewhere I fit in, somewhere that's a good fit for me and potentially my family. I think that's kind of my end goal. If it is at, University of Georgia, shoot, that's fine with me. But if it's a mid-major Division II, shoot, and it's a good fit for me, I'm all about it.
Yeah, that's a great answer. That's a great way to look at it. Because if I asked that to probably 75% of the people would say, I want to be at this school or one of these 5 schools or one of these minor league teams. So I think that's a great way to look at it. And I think in the end, that's probably the best way to look at it and how you're going to find the most success ultimately.
Right.
So, well, I mean, man, this was awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. I had a great time.
Yeah, it was great talking to you. You had a ton of great stories, ton of insight on the game. We wish you nothing but the best of luck going forward in your coaching career. And it was just awesome talking with you, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, For sure. Thank you guys, and appreciate you having me on the podcast, and good luck with it, whoever you get.